Hello everyone, and welcome, hello everyone to people on the meeting or just watching the recording. Welcome to the webinar Project Management Core Concepts Made Simple. So, next slide. This webinar is hosted by the one and only PM Ready, the world's first student-led nonprofit empowering youth leaders and change makers with project management. So, through our Global Ambassador team, webinars, speaker series, online course, newsletters, and many other engaging formats, PM Ready aims to make project management learning engaging and accessible to everyone. And in doing so, we empower students to make meaningful changes for themselves and their communities while supporting the UN SDGs Sustainable Development Goals. So for more information about PM Ready, you are welcome to visit our website, pmready.org. All right. So first, let's just try to see, get to know each other, the audience. So um, feel free to type in the chat, like, what is your role? So here are some just quick housekeeping matters and a quick topic review. So this meeting will be recorded and mute yourself unless you're speaking, and please complete the post-event survey. And a reminder that one free PDU is provided for PMI certified members. And a quick topic review. So the first bullet point, the business analysis versus project manager, and then there'll be 4 questions for that. And then we're going to go over some key agile concepts. That's very exciting. That's 5 questions. All right. So now I'm going to introduce the speaker. So Varun Anand, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, has been training for for PMP, Project Management Professional certification for more than 10 years. And he founded EduHubSpot with his best friend. And today, EduHubSpot is a renowned provider of certification education, offering courses worldwide um, through a practical case study approach. So, welcome, Mr. Anand, and thank you so much for accepting my invitation to offer this webinar for our youth and project management learners.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Evelyn. It's a pleasure and honor to be here. So,
all right.
let's get started.
So let's start with our first topic. What is the role of a business analyst, and how is this role different from a project manager?
Okay. Before we get started, first of all, I want to, Michael, Renek, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, and Alice, thank you so much for coming in here. Um, First of all, hats off to Evelyn for organizing this event. I mean, it is such a youthful, such at an early stage of the career. If someone is doing these kind of initiatives, it's absolutely mind blowing. So, congratulations, Evelyn.
Thank you so much. Really
And
appreciate it.
never get demotivated or discouraged that if you have less people, like, sometimes it goes in the mind that, hey, I have just 3 people, who showed up. No, it's not about that. It's all about the effort and the learning which you are giving. And hats off to, to do that. And same is the case with you, Alice, you, Michael, Renick. Um, you could have done something more valuable, I feel, at this point of time, but you decided to, join here. So I really appreciate that. And but I will make sure that whatever discussions we will do, it's gonna be fruitful. And if there are any questions, please feel free to discuss, and we'll be more than happy to guide you on that. Okay. So, Evelyn, do you want me to just read the question and answer and go from there? Is that how you want me to do?
Yeah, that's perfect, actually.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. So, who develops a business case for a project before the project work starts? Now, when the project gets started, you will always see that you don't have multiple stakeholders which are part of the journey, right? It's very high level stakeholders. Typically, you will have a project manager, typically, you have a business analyst, sponsor. These are some of the people who will be part of the journey at the very beginning stage. And as you move forward, then you will have more resources who will join the work, like later in the stage. Now, business case, the real question in this is like, who's responsible to create business case? Not necessarily before the start or middle. It's just a simple question, who creates a business case? It's actually the responsibility of business analyst who understands the requirement of the project, who is whose job is to document the requirements in the BRD, which is the business requirement document, will be creating that business case. So I would go with the answer business analyst on this. Um, Perfect. And please, if anyone has any questions, feel free to stop me, ask me questions, and we can make this session as interactive as possible. So feel free. Who should define the so business analyst works before a project manager works? Alice, that's a very good question, Alex. Evelyn, can you go back to the previous slide? So at the initial stages of the project, you will have a project manager and a business analyst, both of them joining the project at almost at the same time. First, I would say it's a project manager, and then it's the business analyst who joins the session. But in reality, both of them are typically in real world. I would say that both of these jobs have they start the work at almost at the same time. So in the initial stages, the responsibility of business case goes to the business analyst to do that. Yeah. I hope, Alice, I have answered your question. Thank you. Yeah. Welcome, Monica. Yeah. Next, who should define the launch plan for products created during a project? Okay, sponsor, team, project manager, and business analyst. Okay. Now, if you see, it says launch plan. Okay, launch plan for the products. So keyword in this question is products. So technically, if I ask you whose responsibility is to manage the product, not the project over here. So it's actually the responsibility of product manager who will be responsible to work on the products. Now, in some organization, the title is product manager. In some organizations, you have the title as business analyst. So both business analyst as well as the product manager titles can be replaceable. If you ask me, old organizations typically still use business analyst, but newer form of organizations, they use product manager. So launch plan for the products, responsibility is product. Product means business analyst or product manager. Okay. After the business analyst collects the requirement, who should validate the requirements? Okay, it's a very who gives the requirements? It's typically the customer. It's typically the client who gives the requirements, right? So if the clients or customer is giving the requirement, then who should validate the requirements? The answer should be the client or the customer. But before it goes to the client or customer, it actually, the internal QA team, the quality assurance teams will be doing the testing, validating the requirements. And once the internal QA teams, they give the go ahead, then only, it goes to the customer, the client, and the customer will be doing UAT. UAT is your user acceptance testing. User acceptance testing, what they typically do to make sure that their requirements match. So in this case, I would go with the answer as client. What are the roles of the executives in the requirement collecting process? A very good question. So again, it depends from situation to situation, Alex. Um, Typically, the executives would be giving the requirements, not necessarily that they would be giving all the detailed requirements. So think of it like that you are working on a project for the marketing team, just as an example. So the senior executive would be most likely director of marketing or VP of marketing. So they will be giving you requirements at a very high level, like the product should have robust features or robust security parameters, things like that. But the senior executive would be assigning a manager in their end who will be the representative of that department. So it would be the job of that representative to give the detailed requirements, but the senior executives, they can hop in, join in whenever they would like and take care of it from those angles. I hope, Alice, I answered your question, my dear friend.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Perfect. Good. Next. Which process will the business analyst not perform to ensure effective communication with the project stakeholders? Okay, very interesting question. And this could be a little confusing also, because a lot of times, when we are doing the test, whether it is CAPM exam or PMP exam, we tend to, look at the clock a lot. So in that, we forget to see the word not. So, but these type of questions are known as not type of questions. And we need to be very, very careful, because there are a lot of silly mistakes which people do in these type of questions. So this question is, which process will the business analyst not perform? So basically the question is, which of the following is not the responsibility of business analyst? Okay. So with that in your mind, let's start reading the answer choices one by one. First is, determine the methods to communicate with the stakeholders. Do business analysts communicate with stakeholders? All the time. I would say this is the job of a business analyst to communicate with the stakeholders, right? So definitely A is not the correct answer. Why? Because that is something which business analyst does, do on the project. But this question is more about business analyst not perform. So we need to think from which of the following responsibilities the BA would not do it, right? Think from that perspective. B, manage project quality. Okay, so project quality, is the quality of the project responsibility of the business analyst, or is it the responsibility of the project manager? Okay, we'll keep this answer choice for now. We'll go to the other two answer choices first, and then we'll come back to option B again. C, manage the commitment and communication of the stakeholders. So if you see from this perspective, A and C option choices, they're very much close to each other, right? The A was determine the methods to communicate, and C is like manage the commitment and communication to the stakeholders. Of course, business analysts communicate with the stakeholders. They manage the communication. If something is not right, it would be the responsibility of the business analyst to work on that. So C is something which I'm pretty sure BA does that. So from that standpoint, C as in Charlie is eliminated. And D, identify the stakeholders. Now, identify the stakeholders. I would not say that it is just the job of a business analyst. Identifying the stakeholders is actually a job of everyone on the team. It should be BA also, it should be project manager also, it should be the team members also. Everyone should identify the stakeholders. So D is something which is more like a universal truth, if you ask me. So if you see, I know that A, C, and D, I'm pretty sure this is something which business analysts do. B is something which I'm not pretty certain of, whether the business analyst does that or not, whether it's the job of a quality assurance guy, the tester or not. So based on those angle, based on the elimination technique which I just used, I think the correct answer is B as in manage project quality, right? So sometimes when you're giving the test, when you're giving the exam, if you're not able to, find out the right answer, I would always use this opposite technique, which is don't find the correct answer, find the answers which definitely not be the answer choice. When you take that approach, then it becomes much easier for you to, come to the right answer choice on its own. Okay?
I have a
Yes.
question
Go ahead,
about
Alice.
the business analyst. Is this role part of a project team or is not a team member?
So, Alice, everyone is a stakeholder. Everyone is a project team member. Think from this perspective. Like a project manager is also a team member. Project manager is also a stakeholder. So, to answer your question, yes, it's part of a project team, but because we are specifically giving that terminology to this person, which is a business analyst, that becomes very specific. So if they are talking in a very generic sense, then automatically you should keep in the mind that business analyst would be part of the like project team. But if they're saying like a business analyst and the project team are working on something, then it becomes an individual kind of a role. But it's part of the project team, to answer your question. It just depends upon how they're phrasing the question in the exam, which you will get.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Agile methodologies. Okay. So agile methodologies. Okay. So Agile Manifesto has four core values, which is individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Now, if you see one thing, at my end, I'm very happy Alice is asking questions. Michael also, communicated in the beginning. He was talking on the chat. So what am I doing? I'm actually following the agile core value over here, which is individual and interaction over processes and tools, which is a typical, I travel all over the world. I speak on various topics. I have people where I am targeting, like I am seeing like 1,000 people have joined the session. And I'm not making this up. This is a very standard for me. At least 100 is something which is a kind of a minimum for me. But still, and what is the target over there? Target is the questions will be answered at the end because we are following a typical process. But am I following a typical process here? No, right? Alice is talking, Michael is also talking on the chat. So this means we are giving core preference to people over here as compared to process and tools. If the people are on the board, process and tools will automatically happen. It's, of course, you need to set something up, but people is the more important. I always say that. Second, working software over extensive documentation. Now, if you compare the predictive waterfall model was all about documentation, right? The more document you create, like everything should be robust from the documentation standpoint. But Agile completely changed the mindset. Agile was all about a working software, which means that yes, wherever needed, we will create those documents. But at least we need to see a prototype. We need to something in our hand. We could touch it, feel it. If it's not a physical, what I'm trying to say is that you should be able to experience the product, which is a working software, as compared to just focusing more and more on documentation. The documentation aspect is the minimal required, which is like the most needed. Whatever you needed, you will create it. That's what Agile is all about. Then you have customer collaboration over contract negotiation. When you work in an organization, you have two parties, which one is a buyer and one is a seller. Buyer is something which has taken the services, and seller is something which has given the services, right? So in that time frame, typically you will see that buyer would be, hey, you didn't do this, hey, you didn't do that, right? A kind of a mindset, because a buyer is a customer, right? Customer, that's how the customer does. But we need to understand that it's not really about a competition between buyer and seller. It's actually about the customer collaboration. We all are in the same team. Like right now, all of us, whosoever has joined this session and myself, it's all about collaboration. We are collaborating together so that you can understand the knowledge, you can get the learning which is required for you to grow in your career. So it's more about the collaboration as compared to the contract negotiation. Of course, you will do the negotiation, but up to a certain level. If you, and the contract should be win-win. If you make it like a win-lose, where the buyer is losing or the seller is losing, then those contracts will not last for a longer period of time. Okay. And finally, responding to change over following a plan. So in predictive waterfall, it's all about following a plan. If you ask me, this is what we did. By this time, we will do this. And by that, we will do this. Like, for example, if we talk about this session, right? We have a set agenda that this is what we will be discussing. So we are following a plan. But if let's say I speak a lot, and if you ask me many questions, then we have to respond to change, right? Or if I speak less, or if I'm not giving you ample amount of information which is needed, still then also we need to plan for something. So responding to change based on the situations and scenario is more important as compared to following a plan in the agile framework. In predictive, it's more about following a plan. So these are the four values in agile. Alice, it's a very good question. Typically, it is used in software industry, but not necessarily. I've seen many different industries which are using agile now. Many different industries. Like I see pharma also using agile. I see construction is something which is still not very much into agile right now. But still, agile right now, it's being embraced by many companies, and slowly and gradually it will actually it will take over. That's what I would recommend. So if you want to equip yourself, I would always say that do these certifications to equip yourself, like CAPM. If you are not if you don't have the required number of years of experience, then do PMP, if you have the required number of experience. And after PMP, go for ACP. ACP is must for you if you want to open more jobs for you. If job is one of the aspect for you. Okay. And I see Michael also asked me a question. Um, can Kanban boards be used instead of developing a plan? Uh, Michael, actually in Agile, Kanban board is being used a lot. Can it replace a plan? I don't know that. Personally, I have seen that, you do iteration planning, you do, backlog planning, you do release planning. Release planning, I would substitute that more towards a plan. Kanban mode is more like to do, doing, done, which means these are the things I'm doing. These are the things which I need to do. These are the things which I'm doing, and these are the things which I have done. So that is Kanban board is more on the execution side. If you personally ask me, that this is what we are executing, and we are using the help of Kanban board to help us to do that. Can it replace it? Maybe, maybe not. But personally, I have not seen that much. Evelyn asked me this question. Is Agile a new concept? Could you give some history of this methodology? No, Evelyn, Agile is not a new concept. It's pretty old, actually. I don't know when it started. We can probably, do chat GPT right now, and I can give you the answer. But it's been a while. Still, not many organizations have used Agile, but slowly and gradually many organizations are moving towards Agile because it's a new and a better way of doing things. Okay. When to use Agile methodology? Are there any other methodologies? Yes, absolutely, Alice. There are multiple, like predictive is one of the methodology. Agile is another methodology which is used. You have Six Sigma, Lean methodology is another methodology which is used. So there are multiple methodologies. When to use? So if your requirements are fixed, if your scope is fixed, you know exactly what you need to do, then the preference is to go for a waterfall methodology. But if your requirements are constantly changing, evolving, then you would prefer an agile methodology over um, as compared to predictive methodology. So whenever, like, you're doing something and you're not very sure of what exactly you need, then you will go for agile. When you what exactly you need, when you know that, then you would be preferring a predictive methodology. Good, good. Keep the questions coming. Any other question before we move to the next topic? Okay, perfect. Evelyn, let's move to the next one. Okay, 12 agile principle. Okay, first, our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. Okay, our highest, now customer satisfaction plays a very, very important role in the agile methodology. Now, what do I mean by that? So both, whether it's predictive, whether it is agile, um, satisfying the customer is always your topmost priority. But how do you do it in agile? It's little different. In predictive, what do you do? In predictive, you work on the requirements, then you execute it, then you test it, and then you show it to the customer. So when the product is already ready, then you are showing it to the customer, and by that time, customer will say, "I didn't like this, I didn't do that," blah blah. Right? So think from that perspective. It becomes very expensive to make a change at that point of time. But in agile, you are doing a continuous delivery of products. Like, for example, let's say, I want to make this iPhone. What I'm going to do, I'll first make the screen, I'll show the screen to you, and I'll say that, okay, does it look good, the brightness is good, less, blah blah blah, whatever. Then I will work on the back side of it, then I will show it. So what I'm doing, I'm constantly showing the product to you so that you like it, you give me feedback. If there are any changes are required, I can make those changes then and there, as compared to waiting till the very end. Okay. Welcome changing requirements even late in the development. Agile process harness change for the customer's competitive advantage. Absolutely. As I always say that in agile, you embrace change. You love changes. You don't hate changes. In reality, in real world, in predictive, we hate changes. Like as a project manager, I don't want changes to come. Why? It would be too much work for me. I would have to follow the change control process. I will have to see what is the impact of that change on predictive, sorry, on my, the triple constraint triangle, which is your scope, cost, and time. So we do those detailed impact analysis. But in Agile, we love changes. Let the change come in. Like, for example, I'm doing right now. To be honest, I didn't prepare even a single thing for this presentation. Not even a single thing. Why? Because this is in my head. I mean, I do this for living, so I don't need to. But if you ask me any specific question which I don't have an answer to, then let's see how I would be responding to that change. So, we embrace change. We are okay with those type of changes. Next. Alice. So agile is like writing a paper. After I finish a paragraph, I should absolutely, Alice. I love it, my dear friend. Right on the track. You do the first paragraph, you show it to the customer, get the feedback, then come back, work on the second paragraph. Amazing, Alice. I love it. I love it. Good job. Good job. Okay, next. Uh, Deliver working software frequently from couple of weeks to couple of months with a preference for a shorter time scale. Exactly. So what you do is in your predictive, you actually like have a very detailed, timeline and agenda. But in agile, you constantly show the working software. Like for example, right now I have the text message feature in my phone. Okay, now I have the phone call feature. I can listen to the voice also. Then I have the video feature in my phone. So what we are doing, we are showing the working software to the customer. Fourth, business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. Agile is not about competition. Agile is about together, collaboration. It's always about collaboration. So we need to work together, collaborate with the team. Team members understand, respect each other, and go from there. So that is the aspect of point number 4. 5. Build projects around motivated individuals, give them the environment and support they need, and trust them to get the job done. What happens in real world? I don't know what type of managers you have worked in, but I have worked in with good managers and I've worked with bad managers. What is the definition of bad management at my end? Micromanagers. I hate micromanagement. If you start asking me, did you do this? Did you do that? What is the status of this? Constantly on an everyday basis, if I have to tell you all these things, then that's known as micromanagement. Somewhere or the other, you will leave that organization and try to find something where you can express your thoughts. This is what point number 5 is, which is build the projects around people, around motivated individuals. Trust them. If you have the right team with you, work will get done. Simple as that. Okay. Sixth, the most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and with the development team is face-to-face conversation. What are we doing right now? It's face-to-face. Don't you think so? It is much more collaborative, interactive as compared to people who will be watching this video as as a video and not as a live recording. Um, I always say this: there are less than 0.5% of people all over the world who move to the next stage of their life, right? More than 99% of the people, they don't move to the next stage in their life. And when I say next stage, I'm talking about, growth mindset over here. Why they don't do? Of course, because of multiple reasons. There is not just one reason associated with it, but I will definitely talk about that 0.5% of people who reach to the next stage. It's actually the people who are more about execution and not just about planning. You guys are over here, right? You could have done something different, but you are still here. Because why? Because you want to learn something. And that's the most beauty about it, right? So hats off to each one of you, to coming over here because you're actually doing the point number 6, which is most effective method of conveying the information is face to face. And that's what we are doing, right? Alice is asking me questions. Michael is asking me questions. This just shows that, it's interactive and they are in the system. So that's a good sign. Next. Working software is the primary measure of progress. Absolutely. I think we have talked about the working software a lot. If you see your baby growing in front of you, You yourself will love it, embrace it. And when I say the baby growing, I'm talking about like, the phone, which is a baby in this case for me, because I've been giving the example of phone, like slowly and gradually. So working software, it's a kind of a progress tracker for you. Agile process promote sustainable development. The sponsor developers and users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely. Yes. So what do we mean by sustainable development? Like, for example, if let's say on your project, there are 100 requirements, okay, just as an example, in the first few sprints is an agile word. Think of it like your complete project is divided into two-week sprint. Okay. So let's say it's 100 requirements and the duration of your project is, let's say, 6 months. So in 6 months, you will have most likely, let's say, 24 weeks, right? 6 months, 24 weeks. And let's say you have divided those 24 weeks into 12 sprints of 2 weeks each. Okay. So you have 12 sprints of 2 weeks each. Now, it says agile process promotes sustainable development. So in first few sprints, which is, let's say, first 2-3 weeks, I would say first 2-3 sprints, which is like around 1 month or so, you will be able to complete, let's say, 10 requirements. Then in the second one, you will be able to do 12 requirements. In the third one, you may be able to do 14 requirements. But then it becomes constant, which means that fourth, you will have 14 requirements. Fifth, you will have 14 requirements. Sixth, you will have 14 requirements. So it will become a constant pace. So once you get hold of it, then it becomes a constant for you. And that's what happened in real life also. If you're doing something new, you probably may take more time, but once you become comfortable with it, then you start doing the same amount, like, every time, kind of. And after a while, it like you reach at that plateau stage, if you ask me. Okay. Continuous attention to the technical excellence and good design enhances agility. Absolutely. Quality is one of the topmost priority in Agile as well. And if you're looking at the requirements, what exactly you need, a design, then of course the quality would have to improve. And 10th is simplicity. Okay, Alice. I feel agile helps with mental health as it promote collaboration among team members. That's absolutely very good point, Alice. You are absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct. Not competition, sustainable development, not overwork. Do you have any comment about the thoughts? So, Alice, I won't use the word overwork, right? Like what I'm doing right now is it is work for me also, right? For me, it is a work. What do I get from this? Honestly, nothing. From financial aspect, if you ask me, what do I get from this? When Evelyn reached out to me, it was like, for me, it was like a young person who's trying to come up, trying to help. So I was very fascinated by seeing the effort. And if you don't support people at the early stage of, these kind of initiatives, then they get demotivated, right? So that was my reasoning of even coming over here. But you do something for passion. You don't do it, you don't take it as a overwork kind of a scenario, personally. Um, so yeah, that's what I would say. Work is something which is more of a personal aspect. Some people work 10, 12 hours a day, 15 hours a day, and they are happy. Some people don't even work 4 hours a day and they still, feel bad about it. So it's more of a personal choice, I would say. Yeah, but very good question, Alice. Loved it. Simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work not done is essential. Okay. The concept of simplicity. Now, I have been explaining you this concept of agile using this phone example, right? Why am I using this phone example? Because I bet all 8 of us who are part of this webinar, each one of us would have a phone. So I use that example, which we do it day in and day out, which we use day in and day out so that you can relate to it. So simplicity is one of the primary principle for agile. Similarly, if you see, Alice brought that point about, that I will write the first paragraph and I will show it to my professor. And then I will work on the second paragraph and I'll show it to the professor. That was simplicity. I mean, after a long time, I have heard someone, breaking it down into such simple way. So Great job. That's you used agile principle in just in this session also. Okay. Next, the best architects, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing team. Okay, let's talk about self-organizing team. Now, what does self-organizing team? In your predictive, what you do? Evelyn, you do this. Michael, you do this. Renek, you do this. Claudia, you do this. So I'm a project manager and I'm saying that Elaine, you do this. Sean, you do this. So what I'm doing, I as a project manager is assigning tasks to you. But in Agile, we talk about self-organizing. What do I mean by that? Michael will come and say that, hey, I'm good as a business analyst. I can document requirements. Okay, Michael's job is to work on the requirements. Renek will tell me that, Varun, I'm more good with coding. I will love to do the coding. Okay, Renek will work on the coding. Claudia will come and Claudia says that, okay, I want to do the quality aspect. So I will be testing the product which we do. Elaine will come and say that, oh, we have vendors. So I will be working with the vendor management. And then Sean will come and say that I'm good with marketing. So I'll be working on the marketing aspect. So what happened? Each one of you actually became self-organized. You told me what you are good at. You picked up the work at your end and we collaborated together as one single team to make sure we kill this. So that is your self-organized team. And finally, at regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior accordingly. Absolutely. You are open to feedback is as simple as that. If you want, like for example, we are doing this session. I would love to take the feedback. Did you like it? Did you not find it good, valuable? Give me the feedback. I love that feedback so that we can improve the next time itself. So what is the goal over here? We want to be effective the next time possible. And until and unless we don't bring those changes in ourselves, then then there is no scope for improvement. It's as simple as that. Okay. You're doing great. Very informative. Thank you. Thank you, Alice. I appreciate that. Okay. Evelyn, let's go to the next one. Okay. Oh, we still have questions. In which scenario is an agile management approach recommended? Okay, why don't we do one thing? Instead of me answering the questions, do we have a poll here? Can we use a poll also?
I think I can figure it out. Just give me a second.
Yeah, if you make me the host or something, I can also add. There is typically a poll option. We can add a poll A, B, C, D and go from there. Let's see what others and we'll discuss it together. It would be a little bit more fun. You are the host now. Okay. Let me
Yeah, you gotta
see.
give me the option to share screen.
Oh, I can do that, but I don't know. Can we add poll or here or no? Typically, you can share your screen if you want to, by the way.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, I don't see the poll option here. I think maybe we have to create it before the session then, in that case.
Maybe.
Okay.
All right, that's okay.
That's fine. That's fine. Let's do this. We're gonna ask the questions and all of us would be, typing it on the chat and go from there. Okay. How about that? Let's do this question. In which scenario is an agile management approach recommended? A, preparing a final exam study guide with the predetermined topics and deadlines. B, planning a school field trip with fixed dates and itinerary. C, developing a mobile app for the school's coding club with frequent updates and feedback from users. D, organizing the annual school talent show with set schedule of performances. Okay, let's type it on the chat, A, B, C, D. And let's see who is attentive also. Who will not comment, this means the person is not attentive. Okay, Michael is the first one. Okay, Michael, good job, Michael. What about others? Let's see. Okay, Alice is C. Conquer. Amazing, Sean. Good. Amazing. Okay. Okay. Absolutely. And the correct answer is C as in Charlie. Absolutely. Why? We talked about agile. And when we talked about agile, in agile, we can constantly, if there is a change, we prefer agile. Now, if you see option A, preparing a final study guide with predetermined topics and deadline. This means it's a set agenda, right? Set agenda. predictive. B, planning a school field trip with fixed date and itinerary, fixed date, predictive. C, developing a mobile app for school with frequent updates and feedback from users. That's your agile. Okay, next one, Evelyn. Which agile tool creates the stories that the project must solve based on the customer's need? Okay, A, B, C, D. Let's do it. This is a tough one. Let's see. A, B, C, D. What do you all think? What is a story? Okay, story, think of it like a requirements, user story. Think of it like which agile tool creates the requirements that the project must solve based on customer's need? D and C. Okay, that's a good one. It's a tough one, actually. The C, said Claudia. Okay, good, good. A story is a requirement from a customer. Um, so Alice, a user story is like the user's interaction with the system, with the product. So the business analyst or a product manager, they write the user story. But the correct answer is actually C as in Charlie, which is product backlog. Let me tell you one thing. Iteration backlog is also not wrong. You actually document the stories in the iteration backlog also. But this question is more about like at a project level. Iteration is at a very specific iteration level, but this is more at a project level. And at a project level, you need a product backlog. And that is why the product backlog is a better choice, answer choice than others. And because Alice is a little bit confused with user story, I will I'll explain her a little bit about what a user story is. Let's say I want to make an ATM machine. That's my project, that I want to make an ATM machine. And I want a feature, a requirement for that that ATM machine, that if I go in, I give my card, I should be able to take out, $10, $20, $100 bills, whatever I needed. Let's say that's my project. So how would I write a user story? So I would say, as a actor is the person who talk to the product. So as a customer for this bank, I should be able to write a particular feature, what you want to do. I should be able to withdraw the money, so that why, like, you need to give a reason why you are doing it, so that I can have a good, happy dinner party with my friends. So what I did, as a user for the ATM machine, so you give as a user. So basically you talk about who is communicating, then you talk about what do you want, and then the last aspect is why you do it. So as a user for this ATM machine, I want to take out, withdraw the money so that I can eat dinner with my friends. That's your user story. I hope I was able to explain that, Alice. Hey, Sean, as a type of user, I want some goals. So that amazing, Sean, amazing. Excellent, got it. Thank you, Varun and Sean. Amazing, Sean. That was good one. And that's what I did, Sean. Good job. Okay, next one. In an agile project, oh, when should the requirements that a deliverable must meet be approved? And when should the requirements that a deliverable must meet be approved? Okay, good question. Michael, are you sure? Think about it. Yeah, now we are talking. The correct answer is A, guys. A. At the start of each iteration. So it says, in an agile project, when should the requirements that a deliverable must be approved? Okay. It cannot be start of the project. Why? Because in an agile project, it's all about changes, constant changes. So you will never have requirements approved before the start of the complete project, at least in agile. In predictive, yes, that's correct. But at the start of each iteration is like a time frame. And before you start working on it, you need to have those requirements ready for that particular iteration. Because of those reasons, A as an alpha is the correct answer. Next. Evelyn, I hope I'm giving the right answers. Correct me if I'm wrong anywhere. I'm just giving you based on my experience. Okay, good. What term means the sum of story points that are completed effectively in each iteration? That's velocity. Okay, that's a technical concept which I have not explained, so you would not understand this. But let me explain you what is a velocity. Sorry, what is a iteration first. I explained you what a sprint is, right? A sprint is a 1 to 4 week cycle where you work on certain user stories. You develop those user stories, you show it to the customer, you get the approval from the customer, and then you move to next set of user story. But this time frame is known as it is typically 1 to 4 weeks. Like you can have a 1 week sprint, or you can have a 2 week sprint, or you can have a 3 week sprint, or you can have a 4 week sprint. Similarly to sprints, you have iteration. Iteration is typically a longer duration time frame, typically a month, if you ask me. So in a month's time frame, let's say you will be working on 50 user stories, 30 user stories, and whatever user stories you will be working in that iteration time frame, it has some story points. Now, what is a story points? Again, it is too technical. I have not given a proper justice because I have not explained you these things. But still, I will tell you. So, story point is, let's say we are working on 10 requirements. First requirement will take, let's say, 1 hour. Second requirement will take 2 hours. Third requirements will take 3 hours. Just as an example, what will be the velocity? It will be 1 plus 2 plus 3. Now, in Agile, you don't give units. Like you will not say hours, 1 hour. You will not say 2 hours. You will not 3 hours. Instead, you use a generic word, which is one story point, two story points, three story point. Because why you do that is because you don't in agile again, we don't want to say that you did 10 hours worth of work. No, we will say that you did 10 story points worth of work. Okay, and each story is equivalent to one story point. Like that's how we do it. So adding each story point is known as velocity. Okay, again, it's too technical, a little bit early for you to understand this. If you do a detailed session, then I will be able to use a pen and paper and explain it better. I'm a professor, so that's how I do it. Next. So it is based on the outcome, not the length of the work. Uh, it's technically the length of the work only, but you don't say that this length of work is equivalent to 2 hours or 2 days. You just say more about like two story point worth of work. So you do it in that aspect. Which technique cannot be used to apply agile methodology to the entire organization? So this is at an organization level. Scaled agile framework, that is at an organization level. Scrum of scrums, that is also at an organization level. Kanban is not at is okay. Kanban is not at an organization level. It is more at a project level actually, but it can be used for the entire organization also. A large scale scrum, that's also at organization level. So velocity is like how many objectives, user story points you achieved in a certain. That's absolutely correct, Alice. You actually explained better than me, to be honest. So you did a good job. Good. Okay. So that marks the completion. What else? Next question. Okay. Perfect. 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 So I think we already discussed this, right? Evelyn, I think we discussed this, right?
Yeah, like I just put this on, like if we had time, we can like have a little discussion, like how we can like apply the 4 agile values in our daily life. And same
I
with
would.
the next slide too, which is the principle. So just like discussing like how can like apply them to our daily life,
Okay.
basically.
Okay. Okay. Sure. So how can we apply this to daily life? We are doing this right now. We're giving preference to people, right? Individual and interactions. So this is a very interactive presentation. I think we did. So of course, we are actually currently following the individual and interaction. We're working on a working software over extensive documentation. So working software is like show prototypes to people, show them minimum. Like Alice was talking about, like I love that example of write that paragraph. You write one paragraph, show it to the professor, and then move to the next paragraph, show it to. That's like a perfect example of working software. You can use it like that. Customer collaboration. Whenever there is a buyer and seller, whether you are a buyer or you are a seller, always go with the mindset that we both are in the same team. I remember I'll share this one story. Uh, I was actually on the seller side, and I had a customer who was very annoying. He was like constantly, you didn't do this, you did that, blah, 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 blah. Like, too much noise. And that was actually distracting me to work on the work. And one time it was just too much. I picked up the phone and in front of the entire customer base, I told him that, and again, he was doing the same thing in front of everyone. He was, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, your team didn't do this, and blah. And it's not about the training, it's actually about my previous life when I was a project manager. I told simple thing to him. His name was Rex. I even remember his name. I said, Rex, we both are in the same team. You also want the same thing. I also want the same thing. So instead of talking about the problems, let's talk about the solution, how we can collaborate together to come up with a solution. And then that was a pin drop silence and shut up from everyone. So sometimes you need to remind this to people that, it's all about collaboration. Finally, responding to change over following a plan. Life is full of surprises. Life is full of changes. The day we start accepting those changes, our life would be much better. We need to embrace it, live with it. So, yes, Evelyn. Next, I think agile principles, it's too many things to go even each one of them in detail. I would say in a day-to-day life, whatever we discuss today, there is no one principle that I want to use bullet point one or bullet point numbers eight, right? It's more about agile is all about embracing change, accepting change. Whatever you think is good for your career, whatever you think is good for your project, take it. Be the person who believes in execution and not just planning. Because 99% of the people just do planning. Over here, if there were 50 people who registered for this course and only 8 people stopped by, this means that these 8 people are the people who are executioners and not just the people who just plan. Simple as that. Be that execution person. Um, can you name one con of Agile? It seems like an amazing way of doing things. One pros and con of Agile. Okay, that's a very good question. Disadvantage of Agile. I think disadvantage of Agile is, it depends upon where you are using Agile. Sometimes you don't use documentation as such, if you personally ask me. So, but some people are still old school, which they want proper documentation, detailed documentation. So that's one con, I would say. Secondly, scope creep. Again, it's too technical. I'm not going to go there. Sometimes you overcommit in Agile. That you want to say, hey, we want to do this, also do that. But then you later realize that you have overcommitted. So these are some of the cons, I would say, in Agile. Yeah. What else? What else? Perfect.
I
Perfect.
have a question
Sure.
about agile. So for like a high school students applying for college, and if we consider that as a project, would you recommend we are using agile, this methodology for that process? Um, and
Let's
yeah,
let's talk about the process. You need to work on your essays, right? Now, you are actually using Agile in documenting the essays because you write little bit, you show it to someone whom you trust for feedback, right? So that's a feedback of that's a way of doing Agile. But instead of just writing the complete essay, make it into bits and pieces. Like, this is how I'm planning to initiate. Like, this would be my intro, my beginning. Am I on the right track? Am I not on the right track? So you need to follow that pattern. So I would say that it's not necessary that you need to use complete agile for the college application process, but of course, bits and pieces which you think are useful for you, you should definitely do that. Okay. What else? Any other questions? Work towards your, I would say, if you are early in your career, work towards your CAPM certification. That's an entry level to your project management. And when you do these kind of certifications, um, it always gives you that you are committed, you're doing something for your career, you're not sitting here. Like Evelyn would definitely be using this, that I created this forum, I created this, right? That's such a unique initiative, so she's going to use it. And similarly, for others, work towards your CAPM. If you're eligible for PMP, do PMP, because these are certifications which are very, very valuable. At least you have an extra additional point. And I can say one thing, it is better than not having it, right? It's good to have kind of information. You use it or you not use it, that's a secondary step. So it's a good to know information, I would say. Should I go for a degree in project management or just get a certification? Alice, I would say both. Because see, ultimately, I'll tell you my thought of why I said this both. Because this life revolves around jobs. Why are we working? Why are we studying? Because I want to work somewhere. Okay, I'm doing my own business. I started this, multi-million dollar business which we are running. Um, that's a business, but ultimately that's a job for me also. So we are doing everything for a job, right? If we want to do a job, you need to be eligible for jobs. How would you be eligible for jobs? Um, if you have different skill sets. Some organizations will say that, oh, you don't have a bachelor's degree, so you're not eligible for this job. Some organizations would say that, hey, you need masters, minimum you need a PhD in this. Some will say that we will not consider you because you don't have certification. So these things are not replaceable of each other. They should always be that how much hungry you are. If you want to open more funnels for you, if you want to open more prospects for you, then do more. The more you do, the better it is for you. Don't replace it. It's and, not or.
All right, perfect.
What else?
Well, if anyone has any questions, you can stay a little bit longer, but for the people that want to go now, I'll just wrap up real quick. All right, so thank you. And thank you everyone actually. This was a beautiful discussion. So okay, so wrap up. Just a reminder to please complete the survey to share your feedback, and we would love to know what you guys would want so we can do better. And if you are a high school or a college student, please consider joining PM Ready's Global Ambassador team to work on the mission of empowering aspiring change makers with project management. And we welcome any youth to take our online course, Project Management for Youth. This course is free for PM Ready ambassadors. And to all of our audience, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, join our LinkedIn group, and continue to check out our website for more event updates. We have a lot coming. All right. So if anyone has any more questions, feel free to stick around as long as Mr. Anand is willing to answer. So thank you for joining us and continue.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Good night. And Alice, I will answer your question. Any colleges for project management to recommend? I don't have specific colleges information. Honestly, Alice, I did my master's in project management. I went to University of Maryland, um, and it was 12 years back. I'm old now, a little bit. You are much younger. But I'm sorry, I don't have the answer to this question. What else? Anything else? Nice. It's nice where I live. Oh, very nice, very nice. I used to live in the DMV area, but I didn't go to UMD. I went to UMBC. I didn't go to College Park. I went to Baltimore County. But yeah, will EduHubSpot have any training partnering option exclusive for PM Ready members? Sean, that's a very good question. Let me do one thing. Sean, are you eligible for PMP or are you looking for CAPM? Because I don't know if you're eligible for PMP or not. Because if you're eligible for PMP, then I will give you the PMP code. Otherwise, I'll give you PM. Not speaking for myself, but for members in general. I'm a PMP. Awesome, Sean. That's great, man. Sean, I can definitely do that if Evelyn is interested. Um, so if I can do one thing, let me do one thing. In typically we do. Let me give you actually. So I'm gonna give the link. Where is very happy, Sean, you stopped by. If you're already a PMP certified, that's great. Empowering people. So it's good. So this is the link for CAPM. CAPM is more entry level course. And just for PM ready, I'm giving this discount code, which is CAPM 50. CAPM 50. If you use the CAPM 50 code, you will get 50% discount on our courses. This is specifically for PM ready people. It's not published anywhere on the website. So if anybody needs it, that CAPM 50 will work for you. If anybody wants to do MS project, that's a scheduling tool. I can give you a code for that also. MS project. And these are not expensive, guys. These are very, not very expensive, honestly. Let me give that. This is MS project, MS project. No, Alice, it's not hard actually. MS project 67. Okay, this is the code MS project 67. That's 67% discount. Actually, the 67% discount brings down the price to like $49 just for a complete course. So if you think that in 1 hour I showed you so much valuable information, just imagine if you're taking the complete course from us. I'll consider after I graduate. Absolutely, Alice, you should. Absolutely. Good, good, good. Very, very, very empowering to see people learning. Good, good, good. I remember you actually, talking to you all. I'll tell one story. One of my student, his son was in high school, and he pushed his son to attend one of our classes, like PMP classes. And I was very surprised that why you are giving getting your son enrolled in the program. The father told me that, Varun, I want the person to get equipped right from the beginning itself. Your classes are not just about PMP, it's more about the practical learning of how to do things, and it's very valuable. I want my son to learn it at an early stage. There are people who think on those lines, so it's very empowering to see all of you, working on those lines. Very good. Great job, guys. Good job. Good job. What else? Anything else I can help and answer? Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. I do find Project Mai helpful for our young adults. Yes, absolutely, Alice. That's so true. So true. Thank you. Okay, guys. Bye-bye. Good
All
night.
right.
Thank you, Evelyn.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank
Absolutely,
you.
Sean. Pleasure's all mine, my dear friend. Take care. Bye-bye.